tried to cheer Dad up by making him some paper fans. I had to use our newspapers and magazines though, as Dad wouldn't let me use the printer paper because that was reserved for his CVs. I decorated the fans with sticky stars and glitter and drew on smiley faces, but unfortunately they didn't do the trick. Dad stayed miserable. I would have loved for my luck to have rubbed off on Dad, but it probably wouldn't have worked because I wasn't feeling too lucky myself. I hadn't spotted any money on the ground in ages, and I so wanted to find some to help my parents out. On top of all of that, I'd had some sad news of my own. Mrs. Avery, my favourite teacher ever, was going on maternity leave in a few months' time. A supply teacher would be filling in for her, and none of my class was looking forward to it. I was worried the supply teacher would be some grumpy pants who liked sending kids out of the room if they dared to interrupt while they were speaking. My Year 4 teacher, Mrs. Barnes, had been like that, and at one point it felt like I was spending more time sitting in the corridor than sitting at my desk. A few of us had formed a group to make Mrs. Avery's leaving card. We decided to meet up once a week at lunchtime to make it, a picture of a baby boy, because that's what Mrs. Avery had told us she was expecting. Big Mouth Mariella had put herself in charge of the group, and also the list that we had to put our names on to do certain parts of the picture. Sanjay Kumar was doing the baby's left eye, Kayla Kennedy the right eye, Alice Tang would be doing the nose and mouth, Ian Metcalf the ears, Dominic Foster the body, and I was planning to do the flower bed that the baby would be sitting in. But that cow Mariella went and deliberately crossed my name out, replacing it with the name of her newest best friend, Trinity Hibbard. "No offence," she said to me at the first card-making session, "but I think Trinity will do a nicer job of the flower bed. She's very creative, you know. She'll make the flowers look exquisite." I was ready to have it out with Mariella, tell her what I thought of her selfish, snotty attitude, but Nancy calmly persuaded me not to. So I ended up getting lumbered with drawing the baby's hair, which I wasn't the least bit happy about. Still, I tried to make the best of it and brought in my special felt tips, pens, to do yellow tufts of hair, with a few orange strands thrown in, as Mrs. Avery had a few gingery bits in her hair. I thought it looked lovely until Mariella stuck her nose in and started ranting and raving that I'd made the baby look like he'd been given an electric shock. The next thing I knew, she was cutting out a magazine picture of some woman's hair and had gone and stuck it over the baby's head. Nancy had decided to get involved in the card-making sessions when she found out her latest crush, Kofi Adu, would be drawing the baby's bottle. Mariella had given Nancy the job of doing the baby's nappy, but she only came to 3 sessions and spent most of her time staring at Kofi and turning her head away whenever he looked back at her. The baby's nappy was made out of a white flannel that Nancy had brought in from home. It had a safety pin stuck to it using blue tack, which apparently was what mums used to do in the olden days before they had Pampers. One day Wayne Clements offered to pour some apple juice over the nappy to make it look more realistic, which had Mariella practically steaming her ears like some crazy cartoon character. "Ugh, that's rank! There's no way you're pouring anything over that nappy," she screamed. "Do you actually have a brain, Wayne, or were you just born stupid?" Wayne was only trying to make himself useful, but the way Mariella was carrying on, you'd think he'd gone and murdered somebody. I was seriously getting fed up with her nasty attitude, so much so that part of me wished I'd never got involved in making Mrs. Avery's card in the first place. At home, things were getting worse, with Mum regularly on Dad's case for not helping her around the house. "You're leaving me to do everything, Austin," she'd say. "It's not fair, especially when you've been here all day. Surely it wouldn't have taken you 2 minutes to put out the rubbish or pick up milk from the corner shop." "I don't have time to do those things, Marion. I need to keep up my job search so I can get some interviews." Sadly, Dad didn't get invited to any interviews. He applied for tons of jobs, but all he got back were rejections or simply no answer at all. And it was awful because he just became more and more disheartened. Very quickly, the cheerful, happy-go-lucky Dad I was used to began to disappear right in front of my eyes.